This next segment is going to go over some basic safety guidelines that we as D.R. Allen use to make sure that our employees are safe in all areas of the company. First of all, this is our lockout tagout device that we use to communicate if a piece of equipment or machinery is not available for use. If you were to come in and notice that you have this lockout device on your steering wheel cover, it is our way of communicating that that vehicle is not safe for operation. If you're not familiar with lockout tagout, let me give you the basics. Lockout tagout is simply when a machinery or equipment is either out of service or you're beginning to do maintenance on that particular equipment and you're properly securing that all energy sources have been locked or tagged out. That prevents anyone from coming up or the machine to automatically start up while you have your hands or fingers in something. Don't worry, even though this sounds pretty complex, your mentor is going to show you what you need to do to safely perform all of your job duties. For an example, if you are cleaning the mixer drum on the outside or greasing it, your lockout tagout sheet is going to let you know the first thing to do is you're going to put your steering wheel cover on so no one is in the cab of the truck and starting up the engine while you're in the back trying to grease the drum. After you do that, you're going to make sure that you have your key in your pocket. And there's a lockout tagout procedure sheet letting you know how to safely grease the drum, and it's going to indicate that you need to secure the hopper on the drum to make sure that hopper does not fall while you have your fingers greasing the drum. You get the device and put it up, grease the drum, everything is great, no chance of you getting hurt. But skipping steps can potentially cause injury, and we will not tolerate that. So make sure that if you have any questions on lockout tagout and how it pertains to you or the job that you're trying to perform, that you ask your mentor or ask your manager, or always call the safety department. The next thing is we are hiring you to do a particular task. That task might or might not include driving a forklift. If you come to drive a forklift of any capacity for us, please know that OSHA requires that we as a company recertify you. This involves you being trained on that particular piece of equipment, watching a video about the safety of that equipment, and then being certified by performing an evaluation of that equipment where we can say that you have safely demonstrated that you can operate that with no issues. Right now, if you're being hired to drive a forklift, you're only authorized to train. Until you're finished training, we can't certify you. So as soon as the training is done, you or your mentor will let us know and we'll get you certified so we can comply with OSHA. Next, if you come outside of my office, we have a load zone. That load zone is where we load our block trucks. That area has a great big yellow sign that says pedestrians only, and we don't want no one simply walking through that area when not needed and take a chance of potentially getting hit by a forklift. So for your safety, we have marked that area off, and we're requesting that if you do have to come in to see us, that you walk around the area, and that way you don't take a chance of anybody getting hurt. The next item is about fire. Unfortunately, fire is always something that you have to be concerned with, and I'm glad to say that we haven't had that issue here. But in the unlikely event that you're at our facility, regardless of which plant or what location, we go outside the main entrance gate, and that would be where we would do a head count to let the fire department know potentially if you're trapped inside of the building. It's important that we account for everyone so that we're not looking for someone in a burning building that may not be there. In addition to that, if you're on a piece of equipment, and that does include the truck, forklift, backhoe, loader, whatnot, OSHA and or DOT require that that equipment has a fire extinguisher. As part of your pre-trip, please make sure that your fire extinguisher is on the equipment and that it has been tested within the last 30 days. Your mentor will explain this more during training. If you are working at a building, make sure that you familiarize yourself with all the exit points of that building in the unlikely event there is a fire. At the main entrance of all of our buildings, we have carefully identified all evacuation plans. Please make sure you review that so in the unlikely event there is a fire, you know all your options as a means to get out. Once you're inside a building working, we do have fire extinguishers there as a means for you to get out in the event there is a fire. It's important and required that we keep the exit areas labeled and that we have the fire extinguishers where they're not blocked. The last thing we want someone to do is try to get a fire extinguisher and they trip and break their neck because there's boxes in the way. So make sure if you're inside the building that you're not storing any UPS boxes or anything else in front of those fire extinguishers So the unlikely event that we need them, we can readily get them with no injury. The next thing we have is our safety data sheets. A safety data sheet is a sheet that goes over any product that contains a chemical. It lets you know what risks are involved in using that said product, if there's additional PPE that we have not issued you that you may need in order to use that properly, and also what the combustibility and flammability of that said product is. For an example, we do not have to do placarding or hazmat here. We don't work with hazardous materials, but we do have products that potentially have a health risk. The most dangerous thing that we have on site is our diesel. So if you're going down to the pump and you got your safety glasses on and you pull out the hose and that fuel sprays back into your eye, that SDS sheet lets us know whether you need immediate medical care or we simply need to flush that eye with water. It is your right to know what you're working with, and you can view those sheets at any time by going to your manager's office. We also have our SDSs online, and you'll be given that website so that if you'd rather view them online, you can do so. Of course, if you have any questions, the manufacturer's information is on there for you to contact them directly, or you can reach out to me, the safety director, and I'll be happy to explain that product to you and what you need to do to protect yourself. The next item is about permit confined spaces. We have several bag houses and silos and other things that are safe to work in if you've been trained and have the right protection equipment. However, you must be certified to go in those areas. Unless you've been given a particular pass and had training by the safety department, you're not authorized to go in any permit confined spaces. We have those marked, labeled, and locked out for your safety. The last thing we want you to do is go into an area that you have not been trained to go into and potentially get hurt. The last thing we have is our EPA guidelines. A few years ago, we had some complaints with some neighbors about dust, and although our company was not doing anything wrong, we realized how important it is to have a good relationship with our community, to have a good name in our community as well. With that, we all came to the drawing table and basically came up with a compromise, and that is now known as our dust plan. What we require to let all of our employees know that when you're coming into work in your personal vehicle or company vehicle, not only for safety but also for dust control, that you're required to go 10 miles or under the posted speed limit. By flying into the yard, obviously we don't want no one to get hurt, but you also stir up the dust that could potentially blow to our neighbors, and we don't want that. In addition to that, we have a water truck or sweeper, depending upon which plant you're at, that controls dust. They do this because we care about our community. In addition, on the main office in Fayetteville, we have great big mountains of materials back on our North Street lot. In the unlikely event that you're working back there, I always tell people it looks like a little mini Grand Canyon. Just be mindful that those mountains of materials have automatic sprinklers on them. There should not be a reason for you to be in those areas, but sometimes truckers will pull up and they'll find a place to check something on their truck, and we just want you to be mindful that you don't pull up next to those mountains and have the sprinklers come off and accidentally get you wet, especially in the winter months. So just be mindful that those are never turned off regardless of how cold it is, and to allow yourself at least 25 feet between them if you're pulling over to check something on your truck or happen to have a conversation with the forklift operator.